Hello, and welcome to Meet Your Next Best Hire, a podcast featuring and highlighting top industry real estate leaders looking to land their next venture in the job marketplace. I'm Sandy Gorie, your host. With over a decade of real estate executive search and recruiting experience, and the founder of Gorie Executive Recruiting and Leaders on Deck, I've had the unique privilege of partnering with top real estate firms to recruit and place high-level leaders across the country. In this podcast, we will have the amazing opportunity to hear top real estate industry leaders sharing their career stories, leadership and management style, and ultimately what they're known for in their craft. I can't wait to dive in and connect you with the best talent in the marketplace. Let's dive in together.
Hey everybody, I am so excited to share with you today somebody that our team here at Gorie has had the privilege to get to know through this journey. And she is one of the best inside the real estate industry. And we're actually going to have the opportunity to hear from her perspective, her voice of what she's looking for in landing her next venture. Today, we have Sandy Gorie with us. She is a vice president of operations and marketing. She has been a part of so many different verticals of real estate. And so we're going to be diving into what employers ultimately want to know is who you are, your leadership management style, and what do you bring to the table. So we're going to just jump right in. Sandy, thank you so much for being on the show, Meet Your Next Best Hire with Sandy Gorie. I'm so glad that we have you here today.
Thank you, Kelsey. It's really fun to be here. I appreciate it.
Yes. So we're going to just dive right in. So ultimately, how did you get into the industry? Like, can you walk us through at a high level and what ultimately made you decide, like, I'm going to stick with this?
Crazy story. It's not, high level. It's really kind of funny. I had just gotten married and I had left my social work position because it was very depressing at the time. And my husband and I, we had just moved into a high rise. It was like 1,000 units in the city in Cleveland, Ohio. And I was doing my laundry, unemployed. I'm doing my laundry in the morning, no big deal. And the general manager was in there talking to somebody. He said, "Hey, what do you think of this laundry room?" And I was like, "Really?" And I proceeded to tell him everything I would change. And he laughed and he gave me his card. And he said, "Hey, if you're ever looking for a job, call me."
Wow.
So I brought my laundry up to my apartment. I called my mother-in-law and I told her what happened. She's like, "Well, hang up and call the guy." I hung up and called the guy. And I immediately went down and met his right-hand man, her name was Kathy Kuhn. She was the GM at the time. And she was not happy about him escorting this person into her office. But I'll tell you what, it took us about 5 minutes to connect. And she was my mentor for 21 years.
Wow.
So that was with us in the residential. Cool. Yeah. And it was, I learned everything working for equity, from the bottom rung up to lots of hats.
Awesome. So that's essentially where you started your journey with equity residential.
It was cool. Property at the time. So they only had 8,000 units. And when I left 21 years later, I think we were at like 246,000, something like that.
Wow. Awesome. No, it's so funny how all of our stories have a different purpose and it's usually unintentional, like how most of us landed in here, because when you go to college, there's not really a whole department that really allows people to understand that there's so much opportunity for growth in the sector. People tend to often think, I know I did, that it's just buying and selling houses. But real estate is so much more diverse and complex. And kind of back to your point of like, you met them 5 minutes in, you were like, wow, there's alignment there. And that's a testament to you. And at least like what we've been able to experience here at Gorie is your personality and that magnetic draw that you have with people. And so that kind of leads into my next question is, how would you describe and share with us, like, what are you known for in your craft? Like, what is it that's your stamp?
I think over time is one, because I'm a curious person, I'm always very adaptable to learn. So just from my whole equity stint to start with, I wore lots of hats and I didn't know what all those roles were. They hired me as a marketing director. I didn't even know what that was. I'm like, well, okay, that's great. What am I going to do? So, I think just being open-minded and being adaptable and finding what you like to do, I think helped me segue into having all those opportunities. And that's what one of the things I think I'm good at is one, saying yes, and not saying, well, I don't think so, or I don't think I can do it. Like, heck yeah, let's try it. And, going for it. I mean, having the confidence that if I fail, I'll tell you I failed, or I can't do it, or I hate it. And I just love people. And so it's a kind of business where you jump in, and if you're adaptable and you love people and you love to problem solve, I am definitely the problem solver, oftentimes being shoveled a challenge. Well, give that to Sandy. She'll let her take a look at it. And before you know it, I'm all in and we're figuring out a way to fix it. So I guess kind of a fixer, problem solver is probably what I'm known for.
Yes, and that kind of leads naturally into our next question is like, what's a couple strengths? And this naturally is kind of a combination that you would be able to share with us that you bring to the table.
Well, I think it's, my base strength, again, is going back to being adaptable and teachable. Some people just kind of stop somewhere in their career and they get dug in and they forget, like, there's a lot going on out there and everything changes. I mean, hey, I started in the business. We didn't have computers.
Right.
That's scary. Okay. Yeah. We just started getting our first cell phone and it was a walkie-talkie and it was so cool. Now it's like a joke. So you have to have that flexibility and that curiosity and wanting to grow and do more. But I'd say my biggest strengths are curiosity and innovation. I like to do new things. I like to learn new things. I'm right now learning all about AI. I was messing with it all last year, but there's just so much that's changing on a daily basis. I'm just infatuated with it, honestly. How do we use it and capture it and use it for our own good? So that the other thing I'm going to say, because I've had people provide feedback to me when I've been through leadership courses, is bold. Being bold, not necessarily rude, but having the confidence enough to be bold, but also have the humility too. And I think that is something you grow into as you mature. It's something that you learn from your mentors, from taking leadership courses, reading leadership books. I think that's critical, is to never really stop learning. And one of the other things I love is I love working with people. And so when I have a diverse team, like my last position, I had many departments and they were all there when I joined. And so, they're kind of like, who are you? And getting to know people where they're at and asking them to share their expertise and actually wanting to learn from them, it's critical. You got to get buy-in from people. And so I think that's a critical skill, is to be able to be a good listener without telling them, oh, well, that you're not going to do it that way. You're going to do it my way now. No, work together on how to
you're not just talking at them, you're coming alongside them and really finding that alignment. So it's like, you got to build trust and you have to show that you really ultimately are like, you genuinely care about their development. And I also think for the other side of the table is, I'm a big believer in you take accountability for your own growth. Sometimes you have the right mentors at the right time, but some of the best mentors out there are waiting for you as the student to show up and learn. I mean, that's essentially how I think most executives like you grow through that time, is that one trait is that ultimately you continuously be a student and you lean and learn into everybody around you, no matter what hierarchy. It doesn't really matter when it comes to that. It's just really back to your bold comment. I think in marketing and operations, I mean, if you don't have that, you don't want somebody who's just watching everybody else go out and build it, and then you come behind them and say, well, let's play safe. What I love about you and just what you bring to the table that's unique is that you're like, yeah, everybody's doing that, but let's go over here and let's go build something even better, so that you are that leading trailblazer. And I think that is a huge value add that you bring to the table, Sandy.
Thank you, Kelsey. I appreciate that comment.
Yes. And that kind of leads, and let's move into our last big question is, how would you describe your leadership management style and how has that impacted the bottom line?
I think my biggest score and what I appreciate of myself, and this is through learning, is the collaboration piece. I want to listen, I want to learn, but I don't want to do it alone. I'm not good at, you do this, you do this, you do this. Now, I can do that after we've worked together to design the strategy. Okay, what does the process look like? then I can be pretty good at that. I can wrangle everybody together and get the buy-in, but we all have to be heard first. So I would say the collaboration is pretty critical to get everyone's buy-in. And again, like you were saying before, the trust. If we don't have the trust, no one's buying into what we're talking about. So I need to get the crew to all buy in, and then we can set up goals. What's achievable? Is it achievable? Getting everybody to just agree, kind of like watching a football team, right? If they aren't really agreeing and they aren't really working in sync, they're not doing too well. It's kind of like, I'm a Cleveland Cavs fan, okay? If anybody knows, there's history there. And this year it's just been incredible to watch these guys because they're connected, they're collaborating, they're listening, and they are all into the goal. And you can see it. And it's like, when you can visualize and just say, yep, that team's got it together. And then there's other teams that are infighting. That happens at work all day long. We should be helping each other. So I think I like to play that role of really trying to get everybody together and then to promote how we're going to get there, get to that end result.
I love it. It's kind of goes back to like, you can't win alone. You can only win together. And that's really like, it is cool that you connect it back to sports, because some of the highest, most elite sports out there, I mean, that is probably the most biggest fundamental of like, if you're going to win that game or whatever it is that you're aiming towards, it's like nobody did it alone. Everybody's got to get on the same team. And if they're not in alignment, it's going to be very apparent, and everyone's going to be watching. And so I really love that you bring that back to collaboration, the buy-in, being bold, being confident, and being able to continue to go out there and try new things, implementing AI. And I mean, it's crazy to keep up with all the exciting things that are happening inside this space. But, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you, Sandy, and to be a part of your network?
I'd love to connect with anybody who's out there and they're interested in just chatting and being a connection, or maybe has a lead or some ideas for me. You can reach me by my cell phone, my email, which is SGORIE. Actually, use my other email, SEGORIE239@gmail.com. And that'll be provided to you in this. And or tap me up on LinkedIn. I'm in there all the time. I get notifications all day long, and I've got a big network, and I'm always looking to make new friends. So
awesome. Well, everybody, you heard it from Sandy. If you don't know her, you're going to want to know her. She is looking for her next best opportunity in the marketplace. She has so much experience, and honestly, she has some of the most, I've not seen somebody have this strong of tenure in a long time. And that says so much about her. When she goes all in, she's all in. And so you're going to want to get to know her. So please reach out. And we're so excited to have you on the show, Sandy. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Kelsey. It's great to see you. Appreciate it. Bye.
Thanks again for listening and sharing your time with us on the show, Meet Your Next Best Hire. I hope you enjoyed listening to and learning from another incredible leader our industry is so fortunate to have in the real estate space. If you're a high-level leader within the diverse real estate industry and looking to land your next best venture and would love to share your story from your own voice and perspective, then be sure to check out our firm at Gorie Executive Recruiting and Leaders on Deck via GorieExecutive.com. Our mission is to continue to be trailblazers within the recruitment space and bring meaningful leaders to the forefront to drive growth and empower people. If you enjoyed this session, please like, comment, and subscribe to support us and our partners at Multifamily Media Network. Stay tuned and come join us on our journey.